Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about a logical objection to the doctrine of the Trinity. And this is that the doctrine of the Trinity results in the belief that there are three gods, something which is contradicted by the doctrine of the Trinity, and so the doctrine of the Trinity is impossible. So first of all, a definition of the doctrine of the Trinity. The doctrine of the Trinity teaches that within the one being that is God, there exists three co-eternal persons. Now, the objection to this is that it is logically impossible and self-contradictory. Why is that? Because if there are three divine persons which are distinct from one another, then this means that there are necessarily three gods. And since the doctrine of the Trinity claims that there is only one God, the doctrine of the Trinity makes no sense, it is impossible, and it contradicts itself. So this objection can be illustrated like this. The Father is God, the Son is God, and the Spirit is God. However, the Father is not the Son, and the Son is not the Spirit. That being the case, if we take the God that the Father is and add to that the God that the Son is, because the Son is not the Father, and then we add the God that the Spirit is, because the Spirit is not the same as the Father or the Son, then the result is that there are three gods. God plus God plus God equals three gods. So how should a Trinitarian respond to this objection? The suggestion I'm going to make is that this objection confuses different categories, and therefore it is a bad objection that should be rejected. The categories of person and being, because the doctrine of the Trinity teaches that there is one being that is God, but within that one being there exists three co-eternal persons. So we have three persons, or three whos. Who you are is your person, but one being. So you're three persons, but one being. Three whos, one what. This objection, on the other hand, assumes that each person is a different being from the other persons. This very assumption contradicts the doctrine of the Trinity that it is apparently an objection against, because the doctrine of the Trinity teaches that there is one being that is God, and that one being is shared by three persons. And you don't have to assume, just because you have three different persons, three different whos, that you also have three different beings, three different whats. The doctrine of the Trinity teaches that there are three whos, three persons, but one what, one God, one being. And so the problem with this is that it is assumed that each person, because they are different persons, that they are also different gods. That assumption contradicts the doctrine of the Trinity, and it has not been proven, and it cannot be proven. And this is why we should reject the logical objection to the Trinity that it results from the belief that there are 3 gods. Thank you for listening. So what might this look like in a real conversation where you're speaking to somebody who doesn't share our belief in the Trinity? Well, they might come up with the objection as I've just shown it. Jesus is God, the Father is God, the Holy Spirit is God, so you've got 3 gods. But they may use a different method. They may go to any of the many places in the Bible where God speaks and he says that I am God and there is no God besides me. Or they might go to John 17 verse 3 where Jesus is praying and he says that the Father is the only true God. Well, the first one we've dealt with in detail. But the second, where God is speaking and he says that there's no other God, well, you see the assumption. The assumption is that this is a problem for the doctrine of the Trinity, because we do believe in another God. But there is no other God. There is only one God. So all we need to do is point out that they are assuming that each person is a different God, and this is not the case. The same goes for John 17:3. When Jesus prays and says that the Father is the only true God. But we don't believe that Jesus is a different God to the Father. So these hopefully will give you some useful tools to see how we can respond to these objections in real conversations with real people. I hope this has been helpful.